June 12, 1944, Normandy, France. The morning mist clings to the hedgerows like smoke after a barrage. Sergeant Karl Vogel of the 12th SS Panzer Division peers through his Zeiss binoculars, the distant rumble of engines vibrating through the damp soil beneath his boots. Shermans again, he mutters, watching the small silhouettes crawl out from the tree line. Coffins on tracks. His gunner, Otto, laughs as he wipes grease from his hands. Let them come. One shell, and they light up like dry straw. Around them, the black hole of a panther os. A *** crouches behind a mound of earth, its 75mm KWK-42 cannon gleaming in the weak sunlight. The Germans have grown used to the pattern, the Allies advance, the Shermans burn. Again and again. For months, they've seen it, American and British tanks bursting into fireballs, their thin armor no match for German steel. The word among panzer crews is that the Allies have no answer to the Tiger's 88mm or the Panther's long-barreled gun. Confidence has become arrogance. Vogel lowers his binoculars as the rumbling grows louder. Through the trees, the first Sherman emerges, olive green, boxy, ordinary. He smirks. Same old toy. Same easy kill. But something is different. This one's barrel is longer, far longer than any Sherman he's seen before. The muzzle brake is heavy, flared like that of a German cannon. Vogel squints. Wait, that's... Before he can finish, a flash erupts from the hedgerow. A single shot. No hesitation. The Panther's armor, 80mm of sloped steel, caves in like paper. The turret jerks violently, a burst of smoke and flame tearing through the cupola. Otto's laughter dies in an instant. Vogel dives for cover as shrapnel rains around him. The mighty Panther is gone, destroyed by what they thought was a joke. Across the field, the British tank commander of the Sherman Firefly, Lieutenant John Borman of the Irish Guards, leans out of his hatch, smoke curling from his barrel. Target down, he calls over the intercom. Tiger or Panther, hard to tell, but it's burning. For the first time, German crews realize, the Shermans have changed. The British called it the Sherman Firefly, a name that would soon strike fear into tank crews who once mocked its kind. Months before Normandy, in workshops scattered across England, a quiet revolution was taking place. Engineers of the Royal Armoured Corps had been desperate to give their armoured divisions a fighting chance against the Tigers and Panthers that dominated Europe's battlefields. Their answer came from one man, Major George Bridie, and later, Lieutenant Colonel George Wyveridge, both officers who refused to accept that British tanks were doomed to inferiority. They proposed fitting the 17-pounder anti-tank gun, Britain's most powerful ground weapon, into the American Sherman. It sounded impossible. The gun was massive, its breech alone nearly filled the turret. The recoil would be devastating. But the engineers were relentless. They cut into the tank's walls, rotated components, and even placed the radio in a steel box welded to the back of the turret just to make space. The result was ungainly. The Firefly's barrel protruded absurdly far, and its ammunition racks had to be restructured, but it worked. The first conversions rolled out in early 1944, just in time for D-Day. Now, in the bocage of Normandy, those long barrels glinted through the hedgerows like lances in the dawn. British and Canadian crews quickly learned to hide their Fireflies among ordinary Shermans, 3 standard tanks for every 1 Firefly, so German gunners wouldn't spot the threat until it was too late. From a distance, it looked like just another easy target. Until it fired. June 14, near Villers-Bocage. A German Tiger from the 101st Heavy SS Panzer Battalion advances cautiously through narrow lanes bordered by thick brush. Its commander, Michael Whitman, the famed ace who had destroyed dozens of Allied tanks, scans for movement. He spots a group of Shermans and accelerates, confident in his Tiger's supremacy. But hidden under a canopy of apple trees, a single Firefly waits, its crew silent. The gunner whispers the range, 800 meters. The commander breathes, fire. The 17-pounder roars, a thunderclap that echoes across the valley. The tungsten round punches through the Tiger's front armor, sparks bursting from the exit hole. Whitman's tank halts mid-road, smoke rising from its engine deck. The crew scrambles out, dazed, one man dragging another whose uniform burns at the sleeve. For the first time, the hunter has become the hunted. That evening, Allied tankers gather beside the smoldering wreck. One taps the side of the Firefly's barrel with his boot. "Not bad for a stopgap," he says. Another replies, "Stopgap? This bloody thing just changed the rules." And it had. The Firefly's 17-pounder could destroy even the heaviest German tanks at over 1,000 yards, farther than most enemy guns could reach. Its penetration power transformed Allied armor from prey into predator. But for every success, the British crews paid a price. The long barrel made the Firefly easy to spot. German snipers targeted the gun's white flash suppressor, knowing one hit could cripple the Allies' best tank killer. And for every Firefly that survived the day, 2 or 3 ordinary Shermans burned beside it. As night falls over Normandy, the fields glow with embers, wrecked tanks, shattered steel, smoldering hedgerows. In the dark, a British gunner leans against his Firefly's track, lighting a cigarette with trembling hands. "They laughed at us once," he murmurs. "They're not laughing now." June 18, 1944, the ruins of Villers-Bocage still smolder. Smoke drifts through the shattered windows of stone farmhouses, and the smell of burned oil and cordite lingers in the air. Among the wrecks lies a grim tableau of twisted metal, panthers, tigers, and Shermans alike, each testament to the brutal chess match of armored warfare. For days, the British 7th Armored Division, the famed Desert Rats, had struggled to hold their ground against relentless German counterattacks. The hedgerows turned every lane into an ambush, every field into a death trap. The Germans, fighting on home-like terrain, knew the terrain intimately. The Allies were learning it, painfully. Yet amid the chaos, the Fireflies began to turn the tide. At dawn, a new German assault pushes from the eastern ridge, several Panthers of the Panzer Division, their engines growling like beasts in the fog. Lieutenant Gordon Haynes of the Sherwood Rangers Yeomanry crouches in the turret of his Firefly, watching through the gun sight. "Steady," he mutters. "Let them come closer." The mist parts just enough to reveal the angular silhouette of a panther advancing across the hedgerow line. Its commander, confident and unaware, stands with binoculars. To him, this is just another morning hunt for burning Shermans. But Haynes has the advantage: range and concealment. "Range, 900, his gunner whispers. "Fire." The recoil slams through the turret like a hammer blow. A heartbeat later, a bright flash erupts from the Panther's hull. The tank lurches, stops, and begins to burn, black smoke coiling upward through the morning haze. Another Panther turns its turret, searching desperately for the hidden threat. Haynes's Firefly fires again, the 17-pounder shrieking, the round slicing through air and armor alike. The second Panther explodes before it can even return fire. 2 confirmed, the loader shouts. In less than 2 minutes, 2 of Germany's most feared tanks lie in ruin, killed not by airstrikes, not by artillery, but by a British tank the enemy once dismissed as a joke. For German crews, the realization spreads like wildfire across the front. Reports filter back through radio chatter. The Shermans with long guns, they can pierce Tiger armor. Avoid open ground, they are striking from a kilometer away. Panzer commanders begin ordering their men to change tactics, to flank instead of face the Shermans head-on. For the first time since 1941, German tankers are forced into defensive thinking. Behind enemy lines, frustration grows. A letter from a captured German officer later reveals the shock. "We could not understand it. The English tanks, they are no longer easy to destroy. Their new gun kills from afar. Even our best armor burns." That evening, as Allied units regroup, Lieutenant Haynes's Firefly stands silent under the setting sun, its barrel streaked with certain oil. The crew climbs out, exhausted but alive. The loader, Private Collins, leans against the track and sighs. Funny, isn't it? All those years they called us tin cans. Now we're the ones doing the cooking. Haynes gives a tired grin. Let's hope they keep underestimating us. He knows the truth, this war of steel and fire isn't over. But for the first time since the landings, the British armored divisions have a weapon that makes the Tigers blink. Somewhere across the line, German crews sit beside their disabled tanks, staring into the flames. Their laughter, once easy and cruel, has vanished, replaced by a silent question. What else have the Allies built that we haven't seen yet? July 1944, near Caen, Normandy. The night sky pulses orange with artillery flashes. The smell of cordite and diesel seeps into every breath. Inside his command tank, Oberleutnant Karl Vogel, the same man who once laughed at the Shermans, studies a tattered map under the dim red glow of a lamp. Another 2 Panthers lost near Hill 112, reports his radio operator. They say one was destroyed from over 1,000 meters. A single shot. Vogel's jaw tightens. The same. Fireflies? Joel, Herr Oberleutnant. Long gun, like our own 75. They hide behind hedgerows and fire before we can even turn. The radio crackles again, more panic, more disbelief. Somewhere out there, his men are dying to a tank that shouldn't exist. A tank they dismissed as a toy. He steps out into the humid night. The horizon glows faintly, burning wrecks scattered like embers across the countryside. For the first time, Vogel feels something he hasn't since Stalingrad: uncertainty. Across the line, British armor readies for another push. In the camp of the Sherwood Rangers, Lieutenant John Gorman, now something of a legend after knocking out a tiger days earlier, cleans the muzzle of his Firefly's 17-pounder. The crew is bone-tired, their uniforms stiff with soot, their eyes hollow from days without sleep. Gorman glances at his men. "We're not invincible," he says quietly. "Don't ever think that. They still outgun us if they get the drop." His gunner, Mac, grins faintly. "Aye, but they don't laugh anymore, do they?" Gorman allows himself a small smile. "No. They don't." Outside, the Allied advance is grinding forward, every hedgerow fought over, every field bought in blood. The Firefly isn't a miracle weapon. It's still a Sherman underneath, thin armor, tall profile, vulnerable to mines and ambushes. But its gun gives hope. And in 1944, hope is ammunition. By August, the pattern is clear. German after-action reports are littered with a new kind of warning. Beware the Sherman with the long barrel. Avoid frontal engagement. Withdraw if possible. Even Tiger II crews, once untouchable, begin to take precautions. They can no longer assume superiority. The myth of German armor's invincibility is cracking. In the fields west of Caen, a captured German tanker sits beside his burned-out Panther, his hands bound but his eyes still sharp. A British officer kneels beside him, offering a cigarette. The German accepts it, wordless, then finally speaks in quiet English. "That long gun of yours. We thought it was a trick, some experiment. But it kills tigers." The officer nods. "That's the idea." The German exhales smoke into the night, shaking his head. Then the war is already lost. As dawn breaks over Normandy, rows of Fireflies roll forward, their barrels glinting in the pale morning light. In the distance, the thunder of artillery merges with the rumble of tanks, the great industrial heartbeat of liberation. The Shermans, once mocked and underestimated, are now the spearhead of an unstoppable tide. Behind them, factories in Britain and America churn out replacements faster than Germany can destroy them. The balance has shifted. For the men inside those steel coffins, victory is still far away, but for the first time, they believe it's possible. And somewhere on a ridge overlooking the battlefield, a German officer watches through his binoculars as another Panther goes up in flames. His voice is low, almost reverent. "They laughed at the Sherman," he murmurs. Now the Sherman laughs back. The wind carries the sound of distant engines, the Fireflies advancing through the smoke, their barrels pointed east. The mockery is over. The reckoning has begun.